trading floor. It's Thursday, and the market's pulled back a little bit today. Just kind of, I don't know. It just seems like it's in an upward trend, but not really as much as we'd like to see it. Interesting thing today, I found this was actually off of CNBC, believe it or not. Mark Mobius, who is a very, very good investor, he's actually predicting that we're going to have, that we're possibly going to have a $10,000, $10,000 Bitcoin next year. And if that is true, then it's going to be quite a sell-off. So, get ready because basically, currently today closed at 16,941, but this is not a good-looking chart for Bitcoin. So if you do hold Bitcoin, I don't hold any Bitcoin right now, but if you are holding Bitcoin, you might want to consider possibly moving out of it. This does not look good, and I think Bitcoin is, with all the problems with FTX and a lot of the crypto exchanges, I think you just got to be super careful when it comes to, when it comes to Bitcoin. You got to be careful, and it's not looking, it's not looking good for that. So be very, very careful. Be very, very, very careful about it, as you're going forward, because I think that, you could get really burned here. If for some reason, I'm not showing I can flip the camera. Hold on. Well, I'm looking to try to see it. They changed, save highlight. This has just got too much stuff on it. I tell you, there we go. Okay, so I'm trying to get it so that I can move it over. There we go. There it is. Okay, I was looking for that. This is the chart of Bitcoin, by the way, for everybody, for everyone out there. And as you can see, it's just been it's been a downward trend the whole time. Basically, the last year, we were, last year we were way up there, almost 60,000, and now we're scraping the barrel down. So if you do have Bitcoin, I would just be very, very cautious here. I don't think it's time. I think it's time to possibly cut losses on it. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I am, but I think we're going to look at some $10,000 Bitcoin. I think Mark Mobius is absolutely right. I'm actually thinking that we may go possibly as low as as a 7. That's kind of where I'm looking at it. I think it's going to be a little bit more dire than Mark Mobius is saying, but I still think we're in a situation where it's just one of those things. It's just you just got to be super careful. So if you're holding Bitcoin right now, I think you got to be really, really careful and be on the lookout for it to go lower. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Talk about going lower. My two stocks, the only two stocks that I'm holding long right now, basically are BP and BP and Marathon Oil. They were both down today, so I'm 2 for 2. They weren't down that much, but they were down nevertheless. You never like that. They're down in lower volume. I just think that again, it's just a weak market out there. And I'm trying to find shorts that I can, things that I can short. I did short NetApp today after earnings. They had a disaster on their earnings. And, we'll see what happens. But it was up today. Go figure. I mean, geez, it was up today. So let's take a look at that one. NetApp, it was up 46 cents. So I'm down a little bit on it. Currently closed at 68.70. I shorted at 66.50. We'll see if we can hang in there with that, and if we can, that'll be a great thing. But that's kind of what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to go short where I can, and that's just kind of the long and the short of it. Kind of the long and the short of it. So there you go. All right, let's look at something that I think that might interest you, and that's the stock of the day that we have here, and that's Caterpillar. And of course, everybody's heard of Caterpillar. I mean, it's a Dow 30 stock, so people really know it. But it definitely is looking good. It's coming out of a cup pattern. Of course, if you're a can slim trader like I am, you'll notice that cup with handle, double bottom, consolidation. These are all basing patterns. And it's coming out on this nice basing pattern. There is a buy point on it, and as you can see right here. Now, the original article here, it said it was over 300, the buy point, but it's not. That was actually incorrect. It's right at about 237. So we're right below it. We're at about 235. So you could definitely buy this one. It's got a 100% checklist. So this is definitely one. If you want to kind of, if you kind of want to put a toe in the water, this is not a bad one. Caterpillar, of course, it's a down component. And I think they're going to have a pretty good year next year. That's sort of what it's looking like. Caterpillar does look like it is trending up. It's coming out of this cup pattern, so that's one you might want to possibly take a look at in the various stocks. I want to show you a stock that I'm looking possibly to short. I haven't shorted this one yet, but I think it potentially is a short. And that is that is let's remember what this is. What did I put up here? Okay, this let's see, 70. Wow, did I not put the shares? Oh gosh, I don't think I put the share up that we're actively looking at shorting. This is, well, sorry for that slide. I should have had that done better than I did. Anyways, well, let's get to the questions here. Thanks for everybody holding on. Really appreciate it. And let's get into some of the questions from the audience. And I'm going to come on over here. Let's take a look at Jay. Thank you very much, Jay. All right, this is a question on Tesla, and basically what Jay is indicating here, of course, is that long time to see today. Tesla closed, and it didn't even get a single penny. That's interesting. Your thoughts on Tesla? Well, I do think that Tesla is one of those stocks that possibly is looking at. Possibly is looking at moving lower. And I did have a short on it. I closed it probably too early. I was just, but let's take a look at Tesla today. I'm going to pull up the, yeah, there we go. So here we go with that. Let me just pull that up also for everybody. Oops, everybody looking on YouTube. So basically, we had, we a little bit lower volume, basically stayed the same. 194.70. Now, of course, the resistance on this one really is just like Jesse Livermore would say. It's right at the even number. I think it's right at about 200. So it does look like it's getting a little bit of a ceiling there. I think Tesla's going lower. That's my guess based on what I'm seeing in the market. The checklist on it, it's a 56. That's not a good checklist. We have a relative strength on the Tesla of 15, and of course that means that currently 85% of the market is performing better than Tesla. As you can see, it's bounced once, and this is the second bounce off the 21-day line. I do think this thing is going lower, so let's go over to the weekly chart to see if there's any indication kind of on where it's where it's definitely headed. So let's take a look here. What I'm doing here is I'm turning off the markups that I have on the chart. So there we go. Okay, come on, there we go. Okay, so hopefully this will let me do it. Okay, there we go. So I'm taking the markups off the chart. We definitely have a downward trend here. There is a consolidation on Tesla of right at about 120. I don't know if it could go that low, but and then there's this other consolidation here that's I think more relevant at about 168. So if it falls below 168, and that's quite a ways to go. That's 30 down. to go, then I think we're going to see it move probably down to 120. That's what it's looking like to me on the charts. But so be very, very careful right now. This, I've tried to short this twice. I've lost money twice on the short on it. I think I was a little bit too early, but I definitely think this one's going lower. So if you do have it long, consider possibly closing it long, and maybe thinking about getting ready to short on it, because I think that we possibly will have we possibly will have something that at that level. By the way, if you're interested, we have you can join Dallas Trading Floor for free. It's and it puts you on the list. Super easy to do this. If you go to the comments section in YouTube, there's a link. And if not, just go to bit.ly/DTF_subscribe, and you'll get on the list for free. So if you're not already a member of Dallas Trading Floor, you will be after you go through that. So just a little bit of FYI. Also, if you're looking on TikTok, you can get on the list super easy. Just go to the link in the bio, click on that link, first and last name and email address, and you'll get on the list. Now, by the way, you can unsubscribe anytime, so there's no risk in that. All right, Sarah is asking about the Spider and the QQQ. Of course, for those who don't know this, the Spider is the S&P 500 ETF. It's the weighted ETF for the S&P 500. So it's sort of like, instead of just buying one stock, you can buy an entire index of the Spider, so the S&P 500. So let's take a look at the chart for that, and this is the chart. And unfortunately, it's like everything else in the market, it is trending down. It's a little bit off after hours. Let's see if we can get that's Tesla, but we want to take a look at the Spider. Sorry about that. SPY. There we go. All right, there's the Spider. Again, the S&P 500 ETF. It did come up past. It did move above in it did move above the 200-day moving average. It's above 400, but it has pulled back a little bit, and I think it's pulling back after hours. I do think that this is a double bottom. I do think that we're probably going to see a top here, and it moved lower, but we'll see. Hopefully not. Hopefully it just continues moves, and it moves up. But I do think that we're getting a little bit of resistance, even though it's pulled past the 200-day moving average. I think we're getting a little resistance there, and we'll see how much higher it moves. But so would I be an investor in the Spider as we speak? Well, I'm looking at the 60-minute chart here. It's definitely moving higher, but it definitely is coming to resistance at about 440. So I think we're going to probably see it pull back tomorrow. We'll see. Typically, Friday is the day that the day traders and the week traders sell. So we're probably going to see a downward trend on the Spider tomorrow. That's my guess. Let's look at the Qs. Of course, the QQQs is where these are predominantly technology issues. This is where Microsoft, of course, is, and Apple. Now, the interesting thing about the mega cap stocks like Microsoft and Apple, they're also in the Dow, so that's kind of interesting as well. So some of the stocks that that are in the Dow are also in the NASDAQ. Now, the QQQ is a ETF that covers the top 100 shares in those indexes. We did have a movement up today on lighter volume. We have decreasing volume here. We're trying to make a rally. The NASDAQ is trying to make a rally, but it is running out of steam. I just think we're going to get a reversal probably early next week, and we may be going lower next week. That's just kind of what it's telling me, but again, this is a tough market to trade. I've been all wet on a lot of my predictions, but I think we're going to go lower, at least in the short term. Here's the thing to avoid. You want to make sure right now that you're out of the major big cap stocks like Apple, like Microsoft, like Amazon, because they are, everybody owns them in the big funds, and they have not done well this year, so they're going to be selling those. So be careful if you're in some of the big cap tech stocks. If you're in some of the big cap tech stocks, I think you got to be really, really careful, and possibly lighten your position or possibly get out altogether, because I just think that by next week we're going to probably go lower. Now, interestingly enough, in normal years, December has always been one of the top months. So typically, this is a good month for the market. But this year I'm not so sure. I just think a lot of things are different this year, especially due to the interest rates. So that's one thing you got to watch out for. So I wouldn't recommend either the SPDR or the Qs right now, because until we get more of a direction, I just think we got to be super careful. How do you short Bitcoin? Buffett sees no value in crypto. I think I actually on this one, Bomadoc, I think he's right. Here's a way that I would short crypto, and it's sort of a synthetic short. And there is a ETF out there called the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, or the GBTC. And I'm going to put this up on the screen for everybody here. It's called the GBTC, and unfortunately, it's currently trading at $8.89. So there's not a lot of short left in the short, but you can short it. Does that make sense? I don't know if it does or not. But this is the current, at one time, and I don't know if this is no longer true, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, GBCT, held 4% of the world's Bitcoin, at least the one active, I was told. And so this is possibly a way that you could short Bitcoin. It would be to buy to sell the Bitcoin Trust and then wait for it to move lower. Now, I want to take a look at the 60-minute chart on this. It's pretty volatile. It's we were trading back here. We were trading at beginning in November. The GBTC was trading at about 1250. Currently, it's at 9. So that's a lot of difference. That it's basically given up a quarter of its value in the space of basically a month. So this would be potentially a way that you could short Bitcoin, would be to do this with the GBTC. I don't know if I will do this, but this is a potential way to do it, Bomadoc, and it might be of a lot of interest to a lot of people. So we'll see how it goes. All right, Belisa is talking about Boeing. Okay, this is now Boeing, interestingly enough, is one of the stocks that seem that a lot of value buyers are seeming to come in on. I haven't done much with Boeing. During the pandemic, I was shorting Boeing, and I did okay doing that, but I have not been buying Boeing long for a while. So let's kind of go over to that chart and take a look. Now, it did move above the 200-day moving average. The 200-day moving average has pulled back a tremendous amount. If we go over to the monthly chart, we'll see how much Boeing has lost since its peak. The peak for Boeing was right about here at about $430, and that was basically at the end of 2018 is when Boeing made its Boeing made its all-time high, and it has been moving down ever since. Currently, it's at 175 on a split-adjusted basis, so it has lost a little over 60% of its value from its all-time high. The question is it going to move lower? Well, typically, I don't think Boeing is going out of business. I don't think that's going to happen. But it has fallen as low as 120. I'm a little bit leery looking at the monthly chart on this one. I'm seeing a trend line if we go from about the 430 range all the way down to 175 here. And I think it's really, what I think is starting to happen again is that it's come right up to that. It's come up to the line, and now it's getting resistance. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm a buyer of this. I think that maybe I'll miss the train on this one because it did come up with a cup with handle formation, and it is in a buy zone right now. But I just can't get excited about this one, and part of the reason is because I just think that we are due for a recession in the country. I think air travel will suffer. And I think a lot of people are going to cancel orders for Boeing. So I am not I know it's not bullish on this one as much as I could have been. But it is making a nice move. It has a nice pattern, but I still think we're in a situation with Boeing. It just can't. I just don't think it's. I don't think it's where to be in the market right now. Let's look at Dell. Now Dell, of course, remember it was reorganized. It was taken private and then it was reissued. So it's got a break. Let's see if it'll allow us to bring it up here. Hold on. Dell, DELL. And let's take a look. And there we go, Dell Technologies. Okay, so let's look. And this one seems to be coming. I mean, we could look at it. We could draw the reversal line here, and it does look like it's starting its upward trend here. And they did come through earnings, and they did come through earnings well. I mean, they were up. The earnings, they had an earnings surprise to the upside. Definitely what you want to see. On the 21st, that was just a few days ago. So the company is looking good. It's on the mend, and it definitely is moving higher. But I just want to see it form a base. This isn't truly a base. I think basically you could watch list this one, but I think it's still a little bit weak. It's only got a 56% checklist, so I am not as bullish on this one as I probably would be. It's just, I think, again, I've been negative on so many things, and I know I'm not a negative person, but this market, I just think it's just so treacherous, and I'm actually looking for shorts more than I'm looking for longs at this point, because I do think that the other shoe will drop, and the market is likely to move lower. So that's kind of what I've been looking at. Now this is one that is sort of interesting. And this one I am much more bullish on. This is an oil field service company called Cactus, and they sell or rent. Basically, it's kind of like a United Rentals, but for the oil business. And so I definitely think there's good potential here, because I do think that regardless of the fact that we politically, this country is not very pro oil drilling. I think it's going to happen anyway just because of the situation. So I like this company a lot. I think they're, at least in the short term, they're coming out of a cup with handle. They've got an ascending base. They're above the 200-day line. These are all things that I look for, because you gotta put as many likelihoods in your quarter. You gotta go. Especially in a market like this, we got to put as many things as we can on our side before we buy a stock, and this definitely is the case here. We're below the pivot. The pivot's 50. The pivot right here is 58.30. We're currently at 53.95. I definitely think you could buy it here, because as you can see, if we draw a reversal line on the handle, it's moved above. So I think it's going to move up at least towards the pivot. And so I think this one is viable. Now, how much would I buy this? I'd be a little conservative here, half a position, but definitely I think that Cactus is viable, and I do think it's looking pretty good. Let's take a look at the technicals here, and this is how far off the index lines are. 21-day line, that's the one I'm really concerned with, of course, 53.11. It's basically right at that. That's a good place to buy it. If we're more than 5% above or below that, we don't want to be probably a buyer, but this is, at least on the momentum, is looking good. Let's check the stochastics on this one to see if it's overbought or oversold. That also could give us a hint kind of what's going on. So I'm pulling up the stochastic indicators here, if you can see it. Yeah, and we are over, we are oversold, so that's a good thing. It's turning, so this is a good place. This is potentially a good place to buy it. The stochastic indicator shows overbought, oversold conditions. We're currently at 20, and it's making a turn. So there's probably going to be more buying action on this one. So I definitely think we can take a look at Cactus as a potential acquisition here. So that one does looking good. And the symbol on this one, WHD, WHD for cactus. And so then I definitely think that one works. I definitely think that one works. Thank you very, very much for that, Lisa. I so appreciate it. And I don't know if to do laws, but let's go to Sandeep first and see Costco's moving lower. What do you think? It'll hit 450. Boy, that's true. Well, you know, this is the danger right now in this market. We have such a weak consumer right now because of their being overburdened with the higher interest rates, you know, on things like credit cards that, you know, I just think we're going to see a lot of the retailers suffer a little bit. I was reading a little bit about Walmart's strategy going forward, and their strategy is to emphasize food as in their product mix because they're just not seeing the numbers in terms of dry goods. So they know that people are going to shop for food, so they're going to try to implement a situation where many of their stores have at least 50% of their floor space on food. And why? Because they're just not getting the sales out of other areas. So the overall the retailers are weak. Now the retailers are weak, but some are weaker than others. And one of the ones I think that possibly is under pressure. Kroger, I think, is under pressure. Costco is sort of, you know, is a higher end retailer, but even Cost, I was shorting Cost in this last month, and I did fairly well shorting it. As you can see, it took a dump below that 200-day line. The fact that it can't get above this 200-day line, this is this black line here, that's just showing super weakness. I definitely think it's going to rally up to the 21-day exponential. That's this green line here. So I think Costco is a potential short if it moves up to about 516. Currently it's at 503. So if it does rally, and it looks like it's rallying, I would be looking possibly to short it at the green line there, because I do see a lot of weakness in this stock. And you know, Costco depends on, you know, happy shoppers buying big screen televisions, and I don't think that's going to be in Santa stocking this year. I just don't. I think it's going to be a tough year. I think a lot of people, I mean, I went into Macy's the other day and checked it out, and it was empty after Thanksgiving. So it just tells me that, at least, you know, anecdotally, that the retailers are not going to do well. Now, the discount retailers are different. There's a company out there called Ollie's Bargain Warehouse, OLLI, and that one might be a little bit different, just because they buy overstocks from companies like Target and they resell them. So, you know, if you go around to your retailers, you're going to see a lot of barbecues from the summer. This is stuff they cannot get rid of. People just aren't buying right now, and it's slow all over. So, Costco, you know, I think if it pulls up to that 21-day line, I think it is a potential short. So, that's just my take on it. Hey, Go Videos. Let's take a look at Go Videos here. True. DKS. This is Dick's Sporting Goods. Let's take a look at Dick's. You know, another one of the retailers. By the way, if you're looking to make money in retailers tend to increase in value when they're in an expansion phase. So that's a very interesting thing that I kind of learned, is that if company in Dick's, I think Dick's is in an expansion phase. They are building more stores. This one's looking a little bit better. It's above that 200-day line. It's right at about, it's just below the pivot here, the pivot being at 119. So this one is looking fairly good. It's got a much stronger relative strength at 89, but the relative strength line is pointing down. So it just came through earnings. A little bit of a disappointment on the earnings. They did not do as well. So let's kind of look at the trend that we've got on some of their numbers on the fundamentals. We did have an increase in sales of 8% last quarter. This is just reported in October, but the profit, and that's really the key, was down 18%. So again, all of the retailers right now, I am just very, very leery of this group. It's not that Dick's is probably one of the best run retailers out there, but boy, it's just a tough time for retailers. So I'd be really careful with Dick's Sporting Goods here. I just would. I just would. Again, I'm not trying to be negative, but it seems like that's what I'm coming up with, at least for the questions. TRU, let's look at TRU here real quick. And that's TransUnion now. TransUnion, of course, is one of the three major, one of the three major credit bureaus, that being Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. It's been a little bit of a downward trend here, but it does look like it's pulling up, but it's got a relative strength of 17. Just cannot get too excited with it. If we look at the fundamentals, let's take a look there and see if there's any better news there. You know, they did come through earnings in September. Their sales were up 26% and their profits are up 2%. I just can't get excited about that. So again, I probably would not be, I would probably not be a buyer of TransUnion. I probably just wouldn't be a buyer of TransUnion. Let's see on the comments here, super chat, some messages. All right, okay, let's see. All messages will be live chat. Let's see if the live chat here. Okay, there we go. Sandeep, is it good to short Lulu for the earnings? Interesting question. Let's look at Lulu, see if it is a potential short. You know, I tried to short Lulu a bunch of times. I've been totally unsuccessful. I don't know what it is about Lululemon. I guess it's their yoga pants that work, but I've never, for some reason, this stock just refuses to go down. You would think it'd be like a Peloton or something, or something like that, but it just, look at this chart, it just keeps going up. Would I short it? No, and I wouldn't short it because it's not showing a shortable pattern. It's showing a base building pattern. So I would not be a shorter of Lulu. I've gotten burned too many times on it. I wish that I could give you more information on that. Eric, please, can you please say the ticker so I can follow along? Here, yeah, also, Eric, really easy to do. I'm trying to say the ticker as much as I can, but the easiest way to see this is if you jump on over to the live feed on YouTube, because you're going to see everything there. The whole chart is there, and that's at youtube.com/DallasTradingForce. So we just looked at Lululemon. Lululemon is right up on the screen right now. I don't think it's a short. I've tried to short this a bunch of times. It's in a base building pattern, so this is probably not a good time to short the stock. All right, let's look for Sandeep also here. He's coming in with, thanks for the response on Costco, great insight. How about Lulu? Is it over? I think Lulu's overvalued, but I wouldn't short it because I've tried to short it. I thought, oh, well, Lulu's overvalued, but for some reason I never get it right on that. So be careful on Lululemon. Just be careful on Lulu. It's one of those stocks that I just don't think it's a good short. I just don't think it's a good short out there. I'm going to go through I did a screen this afternoon, and let's see if I can show you the shorts on here. And I want to kind of go through them. This is called the Evel Knievel screen. Pretty cool, huh? And we're going to go through hopefully some shorts that we can potential short. And these are potential. This is, I haven't shorted these, but I want to kind of show you, bring forward some of the things here that are potentials. Duolingo is one of the ones that I've been looking at for potential short, and I haven't done anything with it yet. Let's see if we can go through here, look through the ones that I think are weak and getting weaker. One of them that I would like to short, and I haven't done it yet, it's Snowflake. I don't know if you've ever heard of this one company, but it is owned, I think it's way over-owned in the market, and I do think it's starting to show potential as a short, and I want to bring that forward for everybody here. Let's see if I have that. Okay, yeah. This one, it's called Snowflake, SNOW, and where would I short it? Well, I think as it comes up to the 50-day moving average, I think that's where we could possibly take a look at shorting it. And if we look at that 50-day line is at about 159.11, and this is on Snowflake, SNOW. Now, it's at 153, so it's pretty close. It's getting there. This is one I do believe is going to be a good short. Why? Because if you look at this pattern, you'll see first of all, it can't get above that 200-day line. That's right here. That's the 200-day moving average. But also now it's not even able to hold the 50-day line. That's this red line right here. So this is what I'm looking at. And we did bounce up, and I do think that we have a potential of this one going down for the count. One of the things about this stock, this is heavily owned by the funds. As you can see, there's a lot of funds. Let's look at the ownership on this one. As you can see, there's 1,594 funds that own Snowflake. A lot of them are going to have to get out because this thing is going down. So I do expect that as this thing rallies to the 50-day line, I think that is going to be a good place to short it. So that's what I'm looking at. Snowflake is one of the ones I'm going to put out there. I'm going to try to put out a list for hopefully for tomorrow on stocks that I'm considering shorting. Because I do think that even though we're technically in an uptrend, I think that we're coming to a time when that could be a situation. All right, well, thank you everybody for taking a look at the show today. I so appreciate it. By the way, if you're not already a member of, oh, wait a minute, MRO, let's take one look, last one for Go Video. Thank you for that. MRO comes down today. Still a good buy. I still think it is. I still think it is. I probably was a little bit early in MRO. MRO, by the way, is Marathon Oil, and it is the retail version. There's two companies. There's the retailer, which this is the Marathon Oil Company. They run the stores. And then there's the Marathon Petroleum, MPC, and that is the refiner. And they're both pretty good. I definitely think this is good. It's right in the buy zone, and after hours it moved above it. I still think this is a good stock. I think it's getting some support at the 21-day line. So I definitely am, as bullish as you can be on a stock. This is one of the ones I am bullish on, and that is Marathon. It's got 100% checklist, and I think it's well priced. 96 relative strength on it, so that's looking good in terms of that. And if we look over here, and I'm going to look at some of the fundamentals here. Hopefully we can see this, and for everybody on TikTok as well. Let's take a look. They did come through earnings. Their sales were up 55% quarter over quarter, but their profits were up 218% quarter over quarter. They just had their earnings in September, and we have a lot of funds that are owning them. This has a PE ratio, a price to earnings ratio of 7. So that's excellent. Their cash flow, $4.45. This is a $30 stock, and it's paying out $4.45 in revenue. I mean, in terms of cash flow per year. That is phenomenal. The return on it, on the equity, about 12%. I just think that this is the kind of thing you ought to be looking for in this market. In a rising interest rates market, this one should do well. Is it going to double or triple? Probably not, but it is definitely a good stock. It's also going to acquire Ensign National Resources, basically, and they're paying cash for this, $3 billion in cash. There's not a lot of companies that have $3 billion in cash, but Marathon does, and so I think it's a pretty strong stock. It's a $30 stock. It's an oil stock, not very exciting, but I think a really good buy, even though it was down yesterday. So sometimes you get the timing right, sometimes not, but I definitely think it's a good one. All right, well, if you're not already a member of Dallas Trading Floor, super duper easy to do. And please, if you can, and I always ask every day, but if you can like the show, that really helps us get it out there. For some reason, I can't get out to as many people as I'd like to see, because I know that people want to take a look at some of this content, just because it is bucking the trend on a lot of things that people are being told right now. So please like this. That helps us get out there to a lot of people. Also, if you go to www.Dallas Trading Floor, sign up for our email list. You can unsubscribe anytime. And then, of course, we have the paid Discord room, too. So that is a paid service that we do have. That's the beginning of basically the first 2 hours of the trading day. So that's another thing that you can sign up for it. It's pretty helpful, and a lot of people really like it, and we've pulled out some pretty good winners out of that one, and hopefully we'll be continuing to do it in the future. All right, well, I'll be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock, so get ready for that, and until then, happy trading.